So this is going to be a review, a two-part review of the Kinesis Advantage 360, coming from a purely typist perspective. I don't know much about computers. I don't know much about the ins and outs of keyboards, how they're constructed, or even constructing them myself. I have never once built a keyboard of my own. Um, Tech and hardware is not my expertise. I have a typing speed of around 80 words per minute right now. At least that's my true typing speed. I can type upwards of 100 words per minute depending on the text that I'm given, but my true typing speed is 80 words per minute. So I'm going to be coming at this review of the Advantage Kinesis from a complete typist perspective. Now, the reason why I decided to look into it is because I have issues with my hands, specifically this area right here. I don't know what you'd call that, but when I type for long periods of time, this portion of my wrist, rather, not really my hand, flares up. I get this pinching nerve sensation, like something is obviously wrong. And it's not quite a pain, but it's definitely uncomfortable. And I can definitely, when I stretch my hands like this, I can definitely feel the strain that typing for many, many hours has put on my hands, as well as other things that I've done in my life as well. It's not just typing. I know that it's not just typing. It's my body's natural wear and tear, specifically with my hands and my wrists, because I've used them a lot in my life. So that's the reason why I looked into it, because it's ergonomic and it's supposed to alleviate symptoms of RSI, what they call repetitive stress injuries. I don't know how true that is. I can't substantiate any of that, but that's the reason why I looked into it. Now this keyboard here is the Halo 75 V2 from NuFi. I think that's how you pronounce it, NuFi. This keyboard is, to me, the perfect keyboard. It's just, there's a lot of visual flair to it that adds to the appeal from an aesthetic point of view. It has really spectacular RGB. Half of the keyboard, or at least the top plate of the keyboard, is made of aluminum, and then the bottom half of the keyboard is made of this kind of uh, plastic. It's a polycarbonate. I don't know exactly what they call it, but it's not aluminum, and it actually has ridges along the outside of the plastic. I don't know if you can see it here. Maybe that's better. And it goes to the other side as well. I'm trying to angle this so the camera can catch this better. These keycaps did not come with the keyboard. They're keycaps that I bought online. But if you go to the back, you can see the plastic and the logo, the NuFi logo here, and then I think that's stainless steel plate on the back. All the plastic on this keyboard glows with light, what they call RGB. So it looks nice at night, when I'm typing at night or when I'm using it at night, and I just want to add a little bit of ambiance to my typing, to whatever I'm doing. So I love this keyboard. I really do. I absolutely adore it. However, it's not exactly the best when it comes to my typing, because when I'm typing, you see here that it doesn't look that pronounced on the camera, maybe, but to me, what this feels like is my wrists and hands are not aligned with each other. So if my wrists and hands were completely aligned with each other, they would look like this. And you can see how drastic that becomes, the difference there from a comfort factor. I think this really contributes to the pain that I feel in my wrist, because over time, when I'm typing like this, especially when I'm reaching for keys, this left hand specifically, if I'm reaching for, I don't know, let's say the Z, even something as subtle as typing the Z, there's still a slight tweak in my hand that happens. So it's frustrating, because I love typing and I want to do it for the rest of my life, but I understand, or at least there's a part of me that's whispering that if I don't make a change to the peripheral that I'm using, that I could be that I could be creating long-term consequences that I might end up regretting. So I decided to look into ergonomic keyboards. I do have another Alice keyboard that should be coming in the mail pretty soon. It's going to be a Fecker Alice 80, and I think I'll maybe make a review of that from a typist's perspective to discuss whether or not I think it may be worth it for people from an ergonomic point of view. But this is the Halo 75 V2. Uh, Excuse me if I sniff a lot. I think I have a cold, so I know that doesn't sound pleasant, but you know, it is what it is. This is the, I still have it wrapped in bubble wrap because I haven't taken it out. I've taken it out of the box, but I haven't taken it out of the bubble wrap. This keyboard, I know some people are really into the aesthetic value of unboxing experiences and stuff like that, but this keyboard comes in a generic cardboard box. There's nothing special about the unboxing experience. It's completely boring. And personally, I don't really care about that stuff. The only thing that I care about is whether or not the product is phenomenal. You could send me, as long as it's packaged in a safe manner that's going to preserve the integrity of the product, I don't care what the packaging looks like. I don't need packaging in gold or silver or all kinds of, you know, cute designs. I don't need anything that looks futuristic or extravagant in any degree. Send it. I don't care if you send it in a plain cardboard box, as long as the product speaks for itself. That's all I care about. I'm a very simple man. But I'm just telling you that so that, you know, you don't get confused. Why isn't he doing the unboxing experience? We want to see the box. First of all, I don't even know how many people are going to watch this video. Probably a very, very small number. So that's why. But I did keep it wrapped in bubble wrap because I like bubble wrap. So let me take it out. This is important because my first impressions of the keyboard are going to be, let's toss that. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, so first impression of the keyboard. It's heavy. This thing is heavy. Okay, I actually saw a couple of reviews about this keyboard before I bit the bullet to try and buy it. And all of the reviews mention how much more substantial this feels versus its counterparts. The Glove 80 was one. I think there was a DeFi model, a company called DeFi. They made a model of a keyboard. There was one called the Moonlander, I think it was. Most reviews of those other split ergonomic keyboards. And I think this is a ortholinear layout, if that's what they call it. The keys are not staggered. They're very in line with one another vertically. I think that's called ortholinear. But all of those other split ergonomic keyboards, the key, one of the key things that they talk about is how not flimsy, but light and fragile they are. First impression with this mother is that this thing is not fragile. This thing is heavy. It's heavy. What kind of weight? What can I say this weighs as much of? I don't know if you can hear that, but this thing, I am not worried about this thing. I wouldn't want to drop it, but I'm not worried about it banging against the side of my table or anything like that. This thing is pretty hefty. Oh wow. I don't know. I guess you're supposed to widen this so that your hands are more in line with the keyboard. First impressions. Okay, so the weight, and I didn't write anything down. I'm not following any script, so I apologize if I ramble a little bit or if I seem like I'm kind of searching my mind for stuff to say. But I will say that I am impressed by the weight. This thing is hefty. You don't have to worry about this being broken. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about it from a sturdiness standpoint. This thing is sturdy. Now I'm going to try to put this up to the camera so you can see exactly what it looks like. There is there's a concave nature to this keyboard. Your hands kind of fall into the keyboard, but that's not really what it feels like. I'll describe it in a minute. So this is the front of the keyboard. Okay. And then this is the back of the keyboard. And of course, there are tenting options here that you can use to elevate or lower the height of the keyboard. I'll mess with that. Don't really know how to do that right now. I guess oh, you press a button maybe. Oh yeah, okay, there's a button here. This button, you press this button and then you can push it or pull it and lower the typing angle. Now, one thing that I noticed on this side, the function key is right here. So there's a function key. There is no F row, so there's no function row. There's no F1, F2, F3. it looks like it resembles the layout of a 60% or 65% on a traditional keyboard. We have Control key here, Alt, which is good, backspace, delete. Oh, oh, okay, hold on. There's the space bar. I mean, you can probably reprogram these keys so that you can put the space bar over here. When I'm typing, I use my right thumb to hit the space bar. I never use my left thumb to hit the space bar. And there is no space bar on this right side. I see the backspace, I see delete, I see end, home, alt, and control, but there's no space bar. The space button is right here, which I suppose, ugh, I don't know. I guess it will take some time to get used to. What am I supposed to hit the space bar with? My pinky? My thumb? Nah, that doesn't make sense. Has to be. There's the home row. ASD. Oh, wait. Do I have them? Am I supposed to have it like this? Am I supposed to have it? Yeah, that's FDSA. Interesting. Oh, okay. I had it wrong the whole time. There's JKL semicolon FDSA. Oh, okay. Oh, that feels so much better. Ugh, idiot moment. Okay, that feels so much better. Okay, now, as far as how my hands feel on this keyboard, I'm resting my palms on this area right here. I really don't know what this keyboard is made of. It doesn't feel like steel. It doesn't feel like metal. It doesn't feel like aluminum, but maybe it is. I'll look that up, I suppose, and mention it in part 2 of the review after I've used this for a good prolonged period of time. But as right now, what this feels like, this actually feels really good. I'm not going to lie. I mean, you see, I'm stretching my wrist just because ugh. But I don't know if resting my palm is going to be the right idea. Because normally when I type on the Halo 75, I hover. I never rest my hands on a wrist rest or on my table. For me, that has caused much more pain than actually hovering my hands. That seems to be the healthiest option for your hands. So I hover when I type. Keeping my hands here. If I just from being here, I think that if I was going to rest my wrists or my hands on this keyboard, I would have to rest them on the insides of my palms, on the fleshy part of my palm. So for this palm, I would have to rest my hand. I would have to rest this portion of my hand on this keyboard for it to be comfortable in the long run. And in this hand, I would have to rest it on this portion of my palm for it to be comfortable in the long run. Because even right now, even letting my hands rest like this, what's happening is I can feel the bone in my wrist right here digging into the material of the keyboard. And on my left hand, I can feel the bone right here digging into the keyboard. And that's an uncomfortable feeling. I can already feel the pain and the ache that could build over a long period of time of typing on this keyboard. So I'm probably going to end up hovering on this keyboard as well, which is something I'm going to have to get used to, because when you hover, the moment you lift your hands off the board, you're engaging muscles in your back, small muscles in your back, possibly your traps. I'm engaging my shoulders. My shoulders, muscles in my back, my traps. So I'm going to have to get used to that in this way, because I'm used to it typing on a traditional keyboard, because I'm used to the form. I'm used to just sitting and typing for long periods of time this way. Even though it gives me pain, I'm still used to it. Even going from this to this, I can feel tiny new muscles that are being engaged. Really tiny new ones. It's a subtle difference. So I'll definitely have to get used to hovering my hands when I'm typing in this way. But I'm pretty sure I will be able to. Thankfully, I'm still as healthy as I could be. A person could always be healthier, but thankfully I still say for the most part that I'm healthy. So, I think I could get used to this. I can't really tell you from a first impression standpoint if this is actually going to make that much of a difference. I don't know. Maybe if I widen it even farther. And you see my camera's going out of focus now because they're not underneath the lens. I don't know. I don't know if that'll go back into focus. But even keeping it like this, I don't know. I don't know how much more from a first impression standpoint. I don't know how much better this will be. We'll see though. We'll see. But it doesn't feel bad. Um, I will say from a sound standpoint, because that's very important to me. It's one of the reasons why I enjoy typing on mechanical keyboards more than membrane keyboards or the keyboards that you'll find on a laptop or a Mac computer. I don't like typing on those flatter keyboards because they're not as stimulating. They're not as exciting to type on. When I'm typing on a mechanical keyboard, I enjoy the sound and the feel that it creates. It's a much more tactile, much more, in my opinion, a much more, if you want to go even deeper into it, it's a much more intimate feeling when you're typing on a traditional mechanical keyboard. The clacking or the there's something about typing on those switches and nice keycaps that just creates a sound that makes you want to continue to type. It's this kind of cycle that you find very, very pleasurable. It's a very pleasurable experience. So typing on really good mechanical keyboards, you love the sound of it. This keyboard, the sound isn't very good. Yeah, the sound isn't very good. I don't like the sound very much. It's very muted. The switches don't. Uh, I don't know. I don't like these. What kind of switches did I? What kind of switches are in this? I want to say they're linears. I didn't get the Gatoron Browns. I didn't get the tactiles. I got the linears, but I forget what they're called. They're a brand that I've never heard before. And again, you got to understand, I don't know all the switches names and things like that. All I know is I like typing on linears. That's all I know. But they're pinks, linear pinks or something like that. I can't remember. But they're linears for sure. And the sound isn't very good. I don't like the sound at all. It's not as satisfying. Very muted, very, I don't know. My first instinct is just ugh. So I don't like that. I wish that this had a more dynamic sound profile. The clackiness of a mechanical keyboard is something not to be under. It's not something to take lightly. I think the sound and the feel of typing on a mechanical keyboard is something that should be taken seriously when designing a keyboard product. And I think this one fails in that regard. In the sound profile, as far as the sound is concerned, and to a degree, the typing. Obviously there are switches here, but I don't know. It just doesn't feel as good. It doesn't feel as good. And maybe that's just a bias of mine because I'm so used to typing on a mechanical keyboard for so long. But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't. I don't know. I guess you got to understand too that this thing costs over $500. This keyboard, just this. Oh, it also comes with. This keyboard also comes with a PC cable to connect to your computer, I suppose. A link cable to connect the two halves, and this looks like a USB wireless dongle. Oh, Kinesis USB cable adapter, USB A to USB C. So it comes with these three things. It also comes with a bridge connector. It basically, you can use it to make the keyboards the same length as a traditional mechanical keyboard, I think, or something like that. Or it just keeps them together so they don't move apart. Oh, that's one thing I will say. Because of the weight, and you see this has rubber stops on it. So it has 3 rubber stops on both sides. 1, 2, 3. Oh, this one has 4. Okay, rubber stops here. This one has 4 too. I didn't see it. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 8 rubber stops on this thing, and combined with the material of my my desk mat, this isn't going anywhere while I'm typing. I can tell you right now, this is not going to slide all over the place. It's not going to affect my typing form in any way. So that's good. Not only is it heavy, not only is it hefty, it's also stable. So this is a very stable product. I'll give them points for that. But for being over $500, I don't know. I don't know the market. I don't know the ins and outs of business as far as selling mechanical keyboards, and I don't know how much it actually costs to assemble mechanical keyboards. I don't know how much it does. But $500 for this is too much, in my opinion. I don't think this costs $500. And I don't think that, and in my opinion, this is just my humble opinion. Again, I'm not a business guy, so take this with a grain of salt. I don't think it's a good business decision to make a product like this $500. I think shaving off $200, making this, you know, $250, $300 would easily entice more customers to even consider a product like this. Because the thing is, most people know what a mechanical keyboard is. Okay, and even then, in that sector, the more expensive a mechanical keyboard gets, even though people are familiar with them, and even though people, for the most part, I would argue that most people prefer to type on mechanical keyboards once they actually get a feel for them, because it's something that you have to experience for yourself. You know, unless you feel how good a mechanical keyboard is, that their greatness is negligible to you. You don't really care. It's like, oh, a keyboard is a keyboard is a keyboard. You don't really understand how different the typing experience is. So if you've typed on a membrane keyboard your whole life, or if you've typed on lesser keyboards your whole life, right, like a cheap Logitech keyboard or a cheap brand keyboard, you know, you think that all keyboards are just the same. How can a keyboard really be? How can a different brand of keyboard really affect how this feels? So until you actually do that, you don't understand. But even then, when you get someone who types on inferior keyboards and they get a good one, even then, they're still hesitant to buy a good or great keyboard that costs $150, $200, $250, because it's a lot of money. Okay, most people don't have a lot of money. Okay, we budget, we have to take spending money into serious consideration, you know, because life throws so many different things at us that we have to spend our money on. So asking people to spend $500, even though this is unique, it's interesting, but most people know what traditional mechanical keyboards are, and even then they're hesitant to spend a lot of money on them. Most people have never even seen a keyboard like this before. They've never even seen it in person, much less heard of it. Okay? So what you're asking people to do, especially new customers, is take a risk. You're asking them to take a serious risk on investing in this product and investing in something that they might not even like in the long run. I'm sure that there are people that have bought products like this, okay, and then have gone back to mechanical keyboards because they're just like, I don't get the hype. I mean, it's interesting, but whatever. So what you're doing is you're asking your customer or potential customer to take a risk on something that not only have they never ever seen, but they've never ever touched. Okay? So at least when you're asking a lot of money to buy at least if you're asking a lot of money for someone to buy a mechanical keyboard, they have an idea of what the experience is like because they've explored that different options. They know what it feels like. This is completely foreign. So $500, I think, alienates a lot of potential customers. I think it really just prevents people from even experimenting on purchasing this product. I think $500 is way too much. Again, but I'm a little bit ignorant when it comes to business, so maybe I'm completely off the mark on that. But personally, I think you shave off $100, I think if you make this $300, maybe $250, it'll be a lot more competitive. Because then you'll get a lot of more people who would be more willing to risk a less amount of money on something like this. And if the product is as great as people advertise and as you say it is, then you should get a lot more business if it truly is great. First impressions, though, it's overall I'm kind of getting meh. I don't know. I'm not that impressed. It's stable. Feels decent. Separating the keyboards into two halves. I don't know how different this is going to affect my form. I don't know. I'm not that impressed. As far as first impressions go, I am not that impressed. But I think it's overpriced. I don't know. We'll see. But this is a part one of the review. Again, these are my first impressions. I'm going to hook this up and I'm going to spend maybe about 30 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes every day for the next few months using it. And then once I've gotten what I want to do is I want to get my typing speed as high as I am able to on a traditional mechanical keyboard. So once I can type on this around 70 to 80 words per minute, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to give a further review on what I think about this. Because the key about a product like this, even though I'm not necessarily impressed from a visual, from an aesthetic and sound part, I'm not impressed on that level. The purpose of this product, the key purpose, is to preserve your health. Okay, this is a product that, unlike a mechanical keyboard, is supposed to alleviate symptoms of repetitive stress injuries. It is the main reason why I was interested in this was because I'm hoping that it's going to keep me healthy longer. So the main thing, okay, even though I'm not impressed in every other way, if this delivers in that way, then that's the thing that I'm going to have to focus on. I can't forget the reason why I got this in the first place. So if this ultimately makes typing more comfortable and more healthier, then it could be something that in the long run I would review, but I would recommend. But this part was just first impressions. Not impressed, but we'll see. So I'll be back in a few months and I will tell you how it's affected my health.